Miyakoji is a small, unassuming village tucked away on the outskirts of Fukushima Prefecture, Japan. It is a place known more for its cherry blossom trees, flower fields, and quiet rural life than for crime or scandal. With only a few thousand residents, everyone knew each other by name, and life moved slowly, marked by seasonal festivals and traditions. But in 1989, the village became the center of one of Japan's most bizarre and unsettling mysteries. On the morning of February 28, 1989, Yumi Tanaka walked into Dulu Village Elementary School, just as she did every day. The children had been lively but well-behaved, and as the afternoon wore on, the day remained uneventful. By the time classes ended, Yumi was preparing to pack up and head home. Before leaving, she decided to stop by the restroom. It was supposed to be a quick, ordinary break. But the moment she entered, something immediately caught her attention. A black shoe was sticking up through the opening of the squat toilet. At first, she thought perhaps it was a prank. A child had thrown an old shoe into the toilet to cause mischief. But as she leaned closer, Yumi realized with mounting horror that the shoe wasn't floating. It wasn't moving at all. It was wedged firmly in place. Her stomach sank. Something about the way the shoe stuck out told her it was still attached to someone. Squat toilets in 1980s Japan were simple porcelain fixtures. Unlike the high-tech toilets the country is now famous for, these were basic, trough-like basins connected to sewage pipes that led to septic tanks outside the building. Following her instincts, Yumi rushed outside and traced the sewage pipe that connected the toilet to the septic tank. And when she peered inside, her scream echoed across the schoolyard. There, crammed into the pipe, was the body of a man. The staff rushed to her aid, and soon the police arrived. But even with multiple officers pulling, the corpse wouldn't budge. The pipe's opening was only about 14 inches wide, far too narrow for a grown man to have fit into willingly. His knees were bent up toward his head, his torso twisted unnaturally. Believing they were dealing with a possible murder scene, the police summoned the fire department. Eventually, with the use of heavy equipment, the section of pipe was dug out of the earth and split open. Inside was the contorted body of Naoyuki Kanno. Naoyuki Kanno was a 26-year-old man who lived in Miyakoji his entire life. He was respected in the community, known for his involvement in local activities and his job at the power company. Friends described him as kind, outgoing, and dependable. He was also active in mentoring the village youth. But on February 24th, 4 days before his body was discovered, Naoyuki had vanished. He told his father he was heading out to run some errands but didn't specify where. This wasn't unusual. Naoyuki often went out on his own. But when he failed to return home that night, concern began to grow. By the third day of his absence, his parents began searching the area. That's when they found his abandoned car parked near a farm. The keys were still in the ignition, the doors unlocked, suggesting he hadn't planned to be gone long. The next day, his body turned up at the elementary school, wedged inside the toilet pipe. At first, police suspected foul play. After all, how else could a man have ended up in such a grotesque position? But an autopsy brought more confusion than clarity. Naoyuki's body showed no external injuries, no bruises, no cuts, no defensive wounds. There was no evidence he had been attacked, beaten, or forced into the pipe. The medical examiner determined his cause of death was hypothermia. With February's frigid weather and the cold, waste-filled environment of the septic system, it made sense. He had likely died slowly, freezing inside the pipe. But the real question remained. Why was he in there in the first place? One of the earliest and most sensational theories was that Naoyuki had crawled into the septic pipe deliberately to spy on women using the squat toilet. The angle of his head inside the pipe lined up with where women would squat, seemingly supporting this idea. Rumors spread that he may have been trying to spy specifically on Yumi Tanaka, the teacher who discovered him. Some tabloids even reported he was having an affair with her, though there was no solid evidence. Others suggested he may have been connected to her boyfriend, but those who knew Naoyuki dismissed the theory as absurd. He had no history of voyeurism, no reputation for perversion. In fact, the idea of him crawling into such a small, disgusting space for that purpose seemed completely out of character. Police eventually ruled the death an accident. They suggested that Naoyuki had climbed into the pipe out of curiosity, or for reasons unknown, and simply gotten stuck. But the villagers weren't convinced. The septic pipe's diameter was only 14 inches. The average shoulder width of a man his age was closer to 16 inches. How could he have possibly squeezed inside? To test this, Naoyuki's father, who was of a similar build to his son, attempted to enter a pipe of the same size. He couldn't even begin to fit. His reenactment only deepened suspicion that his son had been placed there by force. Then there was the mystery of his shoes. Naoyuki was wearing only one shoe when he was found. The other was never located, suggesting he had lost it or it had been removed before he died. Others believed Naoyuki's death had nothing to do with voyeurism or accident, but was instead politically motivated. That year, the town was holding mayoral elections. Naoyuki had initially supported the incumbent mayor, but later withdrew his backing after discovering the mayor was allegedly paying for votes. According to whispers in the village, this betrayal may have cost him his life. Another version of the theory pointed to the local nuclear power plant. Expansion plans were underway, and Naoyuki had reportedly opposed the project on health grounds. Could his stance have made him a target for those who stood to benefit financially? These theories were harder to prove, but in a small village where everyone knew each other, it wasn't hard to believe secrets were being kept. When police closed the case, labeling Naoyuki's death as accidental, the village erupted in protest. Thousands signed petitions demanding the case be reopened. Residents felt the explanation was lazy at best, corrupt at worst. The villagers weren't just standing up for Naoyuki, they were standing against what they saw as a failure of justice. To them, dismissing the case as an accident ignored the glaring physical impossibilities and left the real cause of death shrouded in mystery. But their pleas went unanswered. The case was never revisited. More than 3 decades later, the case of Naoyuki Kanno remains one of Japan's most bizarre mysteries. Was he a victim of a political conspiracy, silenced and hidden in the most humiliating way imaginable? Or was it, as the police insisted, nothing more than a tragic and inexplicable mistake? To this day, no one knows for certain. If you found this story compelling, consider sharing it with others. Subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into true stories. Stay curious and stay safe.